7:18, and welcome back. It's one of Delmar's big talks here, and tonight we're talking about going organic. Should we all go organic? And on the line right now is the author of Unjunk Your Junk Food, Andrea Donsky, joins the program. Hello, Andrea.
Hey, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being along. You're in a studio out where, in Toronto?
I am based in Toronto.
Excellent. So the book was really interesting, and I had a look at it when you came in last year here at CJAD. And so basically, tell us about Unjunk Your Junk Food. It's a guide to shopping organic, but specifically sort of in the snack treat segment, right?
Yes, exactly. So basically, it talks about what we call the scary seven. So really how to shop for products on the grocery store shelves by reading the ingredients. And we want people to stay away from the 7 ingredients that we know, according to research, causes the most harm to the human body.
Okay, and what are some of those substances that are harmful, you think?
So they would be something like trans fats, so anything that has hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils in them. Glucose fructose, which is high fructose corn syrup. Monosodium glutamate, artificial colors, artificial flavors, artificial sweeteners like aspartame or Splenda, and certain preservatives.
So a lot of your snacks, correct me if I'm wrong, I think most in the book are organic?
You know what? They're not necessarily organic, but they don't have the scary 7 ingredients. Because for me, that's really what it comes down to. And I was listening to your conversation with Leslie, and I found it fascinating. And there were so many times I was like, wait a second, I want to say something there. I want to say something there. So it's not only about eating organic, but it's just about taking out the chemicals from our food. And obviously, organic is the best way to do that, to guarantee that you don't get certain chemical additives in the foods because they're not allowed according to the law.
Right, and Dr. Joe Schwartz will be along later, and I can predict his response to a lot of what you're saying. And as a chemist, he says, well, I mean, everything is chemicals, right? We're all made up of chemicals, and chemicals are everywhere. The question is the dosage, right? And most of the products, according to Dr. Joe, and he'll explain this a bit later, most don't contain any kind of serious level of pesticides, herbicides, or anything else that we should be worried about. So why does some of these scary chemicals concern you?
Well, I think according to the research, I mean, everything that we talk about at naturallysavvy.com is all based on research. So we don't just say something without actually doing our research first. And what we do find is you're correct. It has to do with the dosage. So over time, we all have a barometer for how many chemicals that we can ingest. And don't forget, it's not only through the food that we're eating. We're also, we also have chemicals that are surrounding us in the environment through exhaust from the cars on the street. I mean, any chemicals from the cleaning products in our house. So it's not only from the food. So that barometer, everybody is so different. So for one person, maybe they could be eating foods like aspartame or any of these scary 7 ingredients or pesticides or all these antibiotics or hormones in the meat that they're eating, and it will never affect them. But someone else might just eat a small level of it, and it might affect them by causing some type of chronic illness. So everyone is so different. And I think the key is we have to listen to our bodies. And if we feel that we're being affected in some way or other, it gives us stomach aches or headaches, then I say, obviously, limit it, don't eat as much of it, but at the same time, it can't hurt any of us by limiting it and decreasing the amount of those artificial chemicals, because that really is where the research is done, and we know that that's related to the harm that it's causing our bodies.
So let's help people now when they go to the grocery store. Let's just say all things being equal when it comes to price and quality. In what circumstances should we substitute products, some of the products that we're more familiar with perhaps, more organic or all natural products or stuff that isn't, quite so mainstream? What are some of your suggestions in terms of those substitutes?
That's a great question. So one of the things that you brought up before with Leslie is anything that's on the dirty dozen list. So that's the fruit and vegetables that we now know have the most pesticides. So anything like, for example, there's peaches, the berries, apples, any of the thin-skinned fruit, kind of like what you were alluding to before, those are ingredients that we want to buy organic. And you can easily find, if you Google the dirty dozen, you can easily find it anywhere on the internet. So those I would suggest the fruit and vegetables that we buy organic, especially when it comes to young children. Because young children, their bodies are so small. So even the littlest amount of these chemicals can affect them a lot more than they can affect an adult like you or me. So I would say start with the dirty dozen, a great place to start, especially for people who are just getting into this lifestyle.
You know, speaking of kids, the author of a book on chemicals in your food did a very interesting experiment, and this report was on CTV News over the weekend. He tested the I guess the trace amounts of pesticides and herbicides in kids' urine after they ate some fruit, and then they put them on an all organic fruit diet, and right away you saw a dip in the quantity of pesticides and herbicides. Dr. Joe will argue that those quantities aren't large enough to be concerned about either way, but certainly there is reason to avoid them if you can, these chemicals, even if their presence is minute.
You know, at the end of the day, Dan, like I said, it's a matter of listening to our bodies. I mean, Dr. Joe, sure, he definitely puts a more, perspective on buying organic. But I'm a consumer who I would buy something that I feel I'm making a better choice, a healthier choice. I'd rather buy that organic product. Even if there's a remote chance that there can cause harm to my body or my children's body, I'm going to go for that option. And I know you alluded before with Leslie to the price. I run a company in Canada called The Healthy Shopper. It's a coupon book that people can use to buy organic products across Canada. So you can pick up a copy of The Healthy Shopper coupon book at any of the health food stores, or you can go to our website. It's thehealthyshopper.ca. That can definitely help with cost in terms of buying some of these more expensive items. You know, another thing I think is sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You can finish.
No, I was going to say another thing that I think is important too, and like you guys talked about before, is the organic meats, because yes, they taste better too, but they also don't have the antibiotics, the hormones, and the GMOs, which is genetically engineered ingredients that come with eating those meats.
Yeah, what about GMOs? This is a debate I had with Dr. Joe just a few days ago. Do you think that's also of concern, the fact that we are growing stuff to be bigger, different, genetically modifying ingredients to be resistant to certain, insects, stuff like that? Does that concern you, or do you have faith in our food production system?
You know, I definitely am concerned about GMOs, and I recently took GMOs out of my diet after, in the U.S., at Prop 37, there was a big vote last year. There were two votes, actually, last year and the year before, for eliminating. Actually, the issue with GMOs is that they're not listed on the labels. So that's really what it comes down to. It comes down to consumer choice. So yes, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because the government won't allow me as a consumer when I'm shopping to decide whether or not I want to buy a product that has GMOs. That's really what it comes down to, my right as a consumer. So yes, I'm concerned because why are they hiding it from us? Why do they care if it's listed on the label? And two, from what I've seen, I mean, I met Jeffrey Smith. He's the guy the director of Genetic Roulette. He is super passionate, has been talking about GMOs for 17 years. And there were studies that came out last year on eating genetically engineered ingredients like tumors in rats. And you can easily find that as well on Google and on Naturally Savvy. And I'm concerned because there hasn't been enough research on it to show us what the ill effects or the non-ill effects of what eating these foods with genetically engineered ingredients are. So I think at the end of the day, I always err on that side of caution that yes, I am concerned about genetically engineered ingredients, but I'm more concerned about the fact that companies don't have to tell me that it's in their products.
I want to go through a couple of products real quick before I let you go that are in the book. So stuff that's very common that do have sort of organic substitutes. And one of the ones that I find interesting that I also eat myself are these organic Oreos. Tell me about them.
They are really yummy. So it's by a company called Country Choice Organic, and they look and they taste very much like Oreos, and they actually taste probably a little bit better, but I'm biased in terms of taste. They taste delicious, and I think at the end of the day, they don't have high fructose corn syrup, so they don't have, that's the scary 7 ingredient that you'll find in regular Oreos that the Country Choice Organics will not have. So I think at the end of the day, like Leslie and you said before, it comes down to taste. So we don't want to buy something organic just for the sake of it. You want to buy it also because it's healthier and it tastes good. So that's an important thing. And in our book, we talk a lot about, and anything that's in there, we always give you the alternative that tastes just as good, if not better, than the conventional products. So you don't have to sacrifice taste when it comes to eating organic or healthier. It's, you get the same, if not better, when it comes to the organic products.
What about a quick suggestion for soft drinks? A lot of organic substitutes there.
There are a ton of organic substitutes, and there is a new product that is just coming to Canada, and I'm super excited about it. It's by a company called Nature's Flavors, and it's a diet soda that's called Begley's and Bill's. Actually, Ed Begley Jr. teamed up with Nature's Flavors to come out with a product, so Begley's and Bill's soda. You could find it online. They do ship to Canada, but it will be in stores very shortly, and they use erythritol and stevia instead of aspartame to sweeten their diet drinks, and there's no calories, and it tastes really good.
Finally, a quick suggestion for chips instead of those generic, very overly salty, overly fatty chips that we buy at the grocery store.
The good thing about chips is that when we did our research, we found that it was mostly the flavor chips that caused the most issue, and it's with MSG. So a lot of the flavor chips, like the ketchup chips that we all love, and the pickles, and the cheddar cheese, a lot of the companies will use MSG or monosodium glutamate to make it taste better because it's a flavor enhancer. So what I would look for is plain chips, because a lot of the companies out there now are, when it comes to plain chips, they don't really use any bad ingredients in them. So I would opt for like a kettle chip, or even the baked chips. But be careful with baked chips, because some products might say baked on the front of the package, but still contain monosodium glutamate. So you really want to be careful that you're buying a product that doesn't have MSG or any other scary 7 ingredient in it.
Andrea Donsky, the book is Unjunk Your Junk Food, and the website is naturallysavvy.com. Some great suggestions in there, and I'll throw in mine for chips. Boulder brand.
Yes,
chips.
great too.
You read the ingredients. There's 3 ingredients. There's potato, salt, and oil. That's all you need, really.
And isn't that great? And that's what it should be. So, and at the end of the day, what's great about Montreal is, I mean, you do have a plethora of health food stores, but you can also go to Loblaws. You can also find a lot of these products in the natural value section of Loblaws. So they are more and more available. I know it's not like it is in Toronto, where we have access to so many great products, but Montreal is getting there, and there are some great health food stores that you can buy it at, including the grocery stores.
Unjunk Your Junk Food is the book. Andrea Donsky, thanks very much for joining me this evening, Andrea.
Thank you, Dan, for having me.